Before we begin, I'd just like to say that this video is totally not a parody of Sliphantom's Unicum guides for World of Tanks, and that they totally did not inspire me to do this video. You also should totally not check out his channel, because he makes totally awful videos. I'd like to start with the 86, but fortunately unfortunately Toyota isn't in the game, so the Shingo Mobile will be the next best thing. Let's begin. The 1997 Honda Civic Type R is a JDM front-wheel drive hatchback that nobody fucking knows how to drive. This is because when they buy it, they put as much power as they can into it and all-wheel drive swap it to make it quote-unquote easier to drive. And then they act surprised when they find themselves sliding out of the road with their backs facing the wrong way. The Civic was not made to be all-wheel drive or to have huge amounts of power. If you want to drive an all-wheel drive car, get a GTR and tune it to S1. With the proper tuning and driving skill, the Honda Civic can easily be one of the best cars for A-Class. Let's learn how. The Civic is commonly seen by the car community as the perfect starter car. It has a tiny, respectable 4-cylinder engine. It's compact, lightweight, and because it is front-wheel drive, it's easy to drive. There's people out there who instantly dismiss front-wheel drive cars as being shitty co-boxes. These people are commonly referred to as retards who don't even have a license. In reality, FWD does not stand for front-wheel drive. It actually stands for fast-wheel drive. It provides you with a lot more grip than those slippery rear-wheel drives, and a lot more agility than those bulky heavy all-wheel drives. By this logic, because the Civic is such a good starter car for car enthusiasts in real life, you'd think it is also a great starter car in Horizon, but alas, you are wrong. People who buy the Civic because they think front-wheel drives are easy to drive are the same type of people who buy Chihuahuas because they think small dogs are calm and cute. They are sly little hell sports, and so is the Civic. Despite being front-wheel drive, Civics and some other similar cars are pretty hard to drive. This is because of a little problem that I will call Liftoff Oversteer. Basically, as you're taking a corner, the back end will slip out for no apparent reason, and then you die, which is not good. This is the main thing that drives most people away from picking the Civic as a starter car, as they will think it is an unfixable flaw of the car itself. But in reality it's actually their fault for driving a front-wheel drive like a fucking all-wheel. Don't be the guy that treats all cars the same. Different drivetrains and engine placements call for different driving styles. To avoid liftoff oversteer, as the name suggests, you must avoid lifting. In short, always have at least one of your feet on the pedal. If you let go of the brake, you're fine. If you let go of the accelerator, you're fine. If you let go of both, you're dead. When you're done braking, get on the throttle. When you're not on the throttle anymore, get on the brakes. Also, try to keep your RPMs high, or at least above VTEC, which is at 6000 RPM. For this, you might have to downshift a bit earlier than you're used to. This might sound hard, but it's really not. It's much easier in practice. And it won't take long before you start doing it subconsciously. To demonstrate this technique, we have brought here our studio's professional racing driver. Some say, when he drinks, it slides in one way and slides out the other. All we know is he is Sans from Undertale. Let's watch. When you're approaching a corner, brake. Your RPMs will start to go down. Downshift as you're braking to prevent this, and stay above VTEC. As soon as you let go of the brakes, get back on the throttle. Tap the throttle as you're turning to keep the car stable, and mash the throttle after you've hit the apex. If you feel understeer during the corner, let go of the throttle and brake. Don't forget that, if you're not braking or accelerating, your car will slide, and you will lose speed. If your car is already sliding, then that means you've entered the corner too fast, or at a bad angle. At this point, you're already a passenger, so there's not much you can do to fix it besides accelerate. Your biggest weakness are slow corners, like hairpins. For these corners, remember that first gear is useless. Never downshift to first for anything. It's just wheel spin. Second has all you need. Now that you've mastered all of this, it's time to move to the car itself. Thank you for showing us how to drive. Sans from Undertale. The Civic excels at A-class road racing. You could also use it for rally, but there's better options for that. Before we start building the car, I have a disclaimer for these series. And that is, I will not be engine swapping any cars, and all-wheel drive swaps will only be used for S1 rally cars, if they really need it. With that out of the way, let's start with the most important thing, tires. 90% of the time, you want race tires for A-class and above. Using sport or below will make your car handle like a wooden carriage, because the car is front-wheel drive. Make the tires as thick as you can on the front, and leave the ones on the rear alone. For drivetrain, always get race clutch, transmission, and differential. We will come back for the driveline later. Get race brakes, suspension, and anti-roll bars. Roll cage is not necessary. We will come back for weight reduction later. Now for the engine parts. Always get race camshaft and exhaust. This goes for every car, as they are always the most important engine parts to get. Next up, because this car is naturally aspirated, get a race intake manifold. Now that you've got the holy trinity of engine upgrades, go back to platform and handling, and get race weight reduction. If you've done everything correctly, you should have 2 PI to play around with before hitting the top of A-class, which should be more than enough to get whatever shitty ricer rims or body kit you want on your car. But if you're not a 12-year-old and are happy with the way the car looks, then go back to the engine and get street oil and cooling. And a street flywheel. As you can see, your PI is now 800, but we are not done here. Don't forget to go back to the drivetrain to check if you can still get a driveline. Luckily, we can get a street driveline. Congratulations, you have successfully attached all of your eBay parts to your $200 Honda Civic. Now let's adjust the car to perfection. Tuning your car might seem complicated at first, but in reality it's extremely easy. For gearing, adjust the final drive towards acceleration until your top speed is 175 miles per hour, or 280 kilometers per hour. For alignment, get 0.12 in the front, and negative 0.12 in the back. I don't know why I do this, but it makes the car feel good. Ride height is purely up to you, just don't slam it to the ground. And lastly, I recommend 90% braking force pressure, so that your brakes don't lock up. And that's it. If you feel like all of that was too complicated, you can just download my tune from the storefront. My gamer tag is Flamethrower XXX. And also, some of you might be wondering why I didn't get any Forza Arrow on my car. I mean, after all, the spoiler even reduces the PI. That is because, if you're good like me, you'll realize that Forza Arrow on anything below S1 is a crutch that makes your car slower, but easier to drive. Also, it looks like shit. Now that your fart can on 4 wheels is ready, go get some Podium Finishes. And remember to not bump into people, because you'll get Shingo points for it, and as we all know, Shingo points were a dumb fucking joke to begin with and initial D memes are dead. Good riddance and thank you for watching.